Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. So before we get into this video topic, there we go. I'm gonna touch on a few things. One, I know I was supposed to make an announcement on Friday. Unfortunately, I mean, it's also good and bad. My team that is working with me on this project, pretty much I got like, I don't want to say an upgrade, but I just want to like a better kind of like path that I'm working on this project with, and it's just going to be another 1 to 2 weeks. I could like announce it now, but I want to feel like I want to have this project ready to go before I announce it, instead of people just being like, hey, you announced this, like what the fuck. I'm gonna be doing a whole thing with that, a whole separate video. And two, I know a lot of people have been asking how I am doing. I am doing a lot better. Still dealing with a chest kind of like cough. That's quite common with ammonia, especially after COVID too. So it's like, it's just something I have to deal with that I might have for quite some time. I still can't smell or taste anything. That's exciting. So like I got hit with the first variant, which was like, you know, great. Lucky me. But you know, just trotting along here. I went back to work, so I've kind of been super busy with that. That's kind of where I have to be, is trying to figure out how to balance YouTube and my work schedule, which is crazy. And it's like, it's not like a 9-to-5 job. Hours are all over the place. So yeah, it's kind of something I have to balance out. Anyways, on to this video topic. So I did do a part 1, which I will link down below. And basically this is about Stockholm Syndrome. Now, this isn't a really widely talked about topic. A lot of people, you know, don't know a lot about it, which is fine. That's understandable. And, you know, people get really uncomfortable, you know, when people do talk about mental illnesses and just different traumas and stuff. It's not a, you know, everyday discussed topic. And which I touched in part 1. So some things I am going to repeat in part 2. But hey, it's just kind of to summarize people who just don't want to watch part 1. Basically, Stockholm Syndrome is a trust and a bond that you build with. This is usually found in people that have been kidnapped and basically show this like trust and affection towards their captor. This also could happen in different situations, you know, commonly also known in abuse situations. And unfortunately, that was something that happened to me at a young age. And, you know, for a long time, I didn't understand why I was feeling the way I was feeling towards my abusers. I didn't understand it. Like, I wanted to, but I just didn't understand that I wasn't in love with them. But I did share these really unhealthy, like, I depended on the abuse, which we will dive deeper into. And like, I just didn't know what to do without it. And that sounds very strange, but I will dive more deeper into this. So like I said in part 1, a few years ago, was working closely with a therapist for a job that I was doing. And this therapist honestly took me on as a client. And I was able to dive deep into all of the PTSD and OCD and Stockholm Syndrome and depression and anxiety and all of that stuff that I kind of pushed down and suppressed, and it was slowly leaking out in unhealthy manners. And this is where I got to learn what I was dealing with and why I was feeling certain ways. So when the abuse started within this relationship, it was a slow build. I'm not gonna lie, I was one of those people that used to say that I would see it coming, that I didn't understand that people, I had sympathy towards abuse victims from as long as I can remember. It just, a part of me was just like, well, why didn't you see it coming, right? That was just one of the big questions. Well, I found my ass in this, and I kind of, understood to a certain extent, because everybody's situation is different. And, it was a slow build. It was like little things that my abuser, and shortly after, abusers would just tear me down, on the way I ate, the way I talked, the friends I hung out with, the clothes I was wearing, or what I was doing, or just acting. And it's just like they would slowly nitpick and just disable me to the point where it's just like my whole world evolved around them. I didn't have many friends. I destroyed some of the friendships I did have. I destroyed the relationship that I had with my parents and my brother and my family, and I was just so disconnected from everything that my life evolved around them. And, it led me to do some really inappropriate shit, like sexting and acting a certain way. I wouldn't say sleazy, because I hate that word, but just kind of needy for their attention, if that makes sense. Because they thrived off of that. Dressing a certain way that was really not like, oh, I was wearing like booty ass shorts. No, like I would wear jeans, but I would wear tank tops and just show a little bit of skin and start wearing makeup and just kind of turning into a little bit of a bitch. It just got to the point where all of my life depended, like living, breathing, everything evolved around them. And that is what they wanted. I didn't know how to function without them. It got to the point where, they would play these games with me where it's just like they knew how dependent I was on them. And then they would, get a new girlfriend, or somebody else would catch their eye and they would go, chase after them and basically call me a whore and tell me I should kill myself, and that, they never gave a fuck about me, and just be really, really rude and just kind of sever all ties. But they would still keep an eye on me because they also thrived off of seeing me suffer. And what they wanted was me to come crawling back to them. And, there would be certain days where I would just be like, well, why don't you want me? Why don't you care about me? Why don't you, I will do what you want type of thing. I would do anything to be with them type of thing. Because I just didn't know how to be without them. And this went on, like, I was 14, and, like, when it, like, really, really, like, cut off contact, I was, like, I want to say 20. Well, like, I kind of woke up and be like, this is really unhealthy. So that was, like, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That was a long time to be so codependent on people. I didn't see it. My parents, again, they didn't know what was the full extent of all this shit that was happening, but they would kind of see, like, my unhealthy attachment to them, and they would take away my phone. And I want to tell you, I freaked the fuck out. Because if I didn't text them at a certain time, or if I didn't have contact with them, they would be like, oh, I don't give a fuck about them, like, fuck you, like, you're a whore, blah, 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 you're with some other dude, or whatever. There was a point where I was thankful that they took away my phone, but I was also fucking, like, crawling out of my skin. Because I knew how much they hated me not having contact with them, and I felt like, oh my god, like, if I didn't have contact with them, like, I was a failure. Like, I am a piece of shit, like they're saying, like, maybe I should kill myself, like, that type of thing. Like, it was really fucked up. Like, there would be ways where when my parents took away my phone that I would desperately try to get in contact with them. Whether that was sneaking onto a computer, or trying to sneak onto the house phone to, like, tell them to contact one of them, saying, like, oh, my phone got taken away, or whatever. Or, like, this is going out into the world, but anyways, like, I would know where my parents would hide my phone. There were certain times, and they caught on eventually, but, you know, that's a story for another time. But they didn't say that I caught on, so, like, they knew that they caught on. They didn't say it. But anyways, like, there would be, like, when it was, like, late at night, and I knew they were, like, down in the basement, like, I would sneak into where they had my phone hidden, and I would, like, text them. Like, I would sneak my phone back into my room, like, talk to them, and then sneak my phone back there, so it looked like it was there all night. And this was before you could, like, lock your phone, like, with a password, so, like, I would have to delete my texts. Yeah, my parents caught me sexting. I'm full stop. They knew. They knew I was a whore. But anyways, that's another topic. But yeah, like, I would get to the point where it's like I was deleting my texts and be like, oh, don't text me, or, like, whatever. But I knew that they would hate that, like, because that's how desperately this, like, attachment got. Like, I would, like, think to my head, well, I already fucked myself with the relationship, like, with my parents and my family, like, whatever. Like, there was no possible limit that I wouldn't go to please them. That's how fucked up it got. And, like, like, again, like, when the abuse, like, would stop and they would, like, lose interest in me for a little bit, like, I just didn't know what to do with myself. Like, I'd be like, I don't know, my life is ending. Like, I don't know how to breathe without them. Like, that's how fucked up it got. Like, it was bad. Like, this was, like, really unhealthy, like, attachment. And guys, these were, like, the same age as me. These were boys the same age as me, and they were doing this shit to me. It's pretty fucked up. It literally, that's, like, the attachment. Like, it was, wow, that's a bad angle. But anyway, well, that's even a worse angle. But hey, we're going with it. It was pretty shitty. The unhealthiness of this attachment that I got with these people, with my abusers. And like I said, like, they would thrive. I'm on a slant, and I apologize, people. Anyways, I'm sorry. They would thrive on watching me suffer and causing me pain and turmoil and just whatever. If I was not a happy person, they thrived on that. Like, when I was a happy person, like, when I got a moment of, like, oh, getting used to them not texting me all the time or keeping eyes on me, like, that I knew of, or, like, you know, hitting me or touching me inappropriately or just causing me thing, and they would see me laughing in the hallway or whatever, or smiling, they right away had to stop that and destroy that. They got their hooks back into me, and I was kind of happy about it. Like, I had their attention again. Like, it was really, really fucked up. Like, you know, there was a point where they would be group messaging me either on Facebook or MSN, and it's just like they were just going back and forth, and yeah, like, I would get in there and not be flirty, but, like, kind of, like, play around with it, like, teasingly and all that stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, like, that is what I did, because that is what, like, not made me feel good, but it's just like, oh, they care about me again, that type of thing. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, it got fucked. Like, I got fucked royally, like, mentally. It was really bad. Like, and to the point of, like, you know, adults seeing me suffer type of thing, and not, like, coming to my aid, or, like, pulling me aside and be like, hey, the fuck's going on type of thing. Like, I was never rescued. It, yeah. Like, I don't even know, like, when they got new women or whatever, or chasing tail, they would always be treating me like the side bitch. Like, their favorite side bitch. And it's like, and then they would get their new love interest or whatever to come after me and be like, I'm the whore going after them. And it was just like, why? Like, that's how fucked up, like, honestly, it got. And, like, I hated it, but I also loved it at the same time. And that was the whole thing. Like, I didn't understand, like, why I thrived for that unhealthy attachment to somebody. Actually, multiple somebodies. It's, yeah, like, I didn't have, you guys are on a slant, and I am. Apologize, my bad. Jesus, I dropped you guys. That's not better, but whatever. I didn't have an identity at the end of this. When I kind of woke up and I was just like, what the fuck? Like, who am I? I didn't know who I was. And I hid behind drinking, and I hid behind cutting, and I hid behind the makeup, and just treating myself very unhealthily, and not loving myself, and not giving a fuck. Like, like, I literally had no identity. They stripped everything away from me. Like, it literally got to the point where it's just like, my dad said that I was killing my mother with who I was becoming. That he wasn't gonna watch me put her in a grave. He didn't want to take the time to sit down and figure out what the hell was going on with me. He just blurted that out one evening. And that has stuck with me, and will probably stick with me for the rest of my life. It was pretty bad. To hear that, like, to hear that one of my parents basically saying that I was a killer, that I was killing, another parent of mine, with who I was. And again, not bothering to figure out what the hell was going on with me. I turned to cutting, and I dove deeper into that unhealthy situation with my abusers. This was honestly 1 or 2 years after high school. I wasn't really too much in contact with them. They were occasionally. I mean, they all had different lives, children and all that stuff. And, they would occasionally text me and be like, oh, hey, I don't, like the bitch I'm with, I'm thinking about you, and blah, blah, blah. And, that pushed me more towards them. Because in a way, I saw what they were doing to me was affection. Like, they gave a shit. They saw me. That's unhealthy, right? that's kind of like the Stockholm syndrome, that was just digging in deeper and, you know, pulling myself out of all of that, and just, you know, coming to freaking terms and being like, hey, no. um Everybody, you know, the most common question I get is, who helped you? Like, who helped you to get away from these abusers? Nobody. I did it myself. You know, I most people in my life at the time, which wasn't a lot, it was mostly family and Captain B. You know, they either didn't want to see it, they saw it and didn't want to question it, or they were just busy with their own lives. And they kind of just mucked it up to, you know, Jessica's the troublemaker, or Jessica's like, you know, the loser, or she's just dealing or going through something. She'll get out of it. It's a phase, that type of thing. Like, they didn't give a shit enough to figure it out. You know, I'm not mad at it. You know, people have their own lives. And granted, you know, I did burn a lot of fucking bridges with, you know, the way that I was acting. And, you know, after, you know, my dad's told me that, you know, again, it always plays in the back of my mind. Like, am I ever going to be good enough for him as a daughter? You know what I'm saying? Am I ever going to be good enough for him as a human being? I don't know. I honestly 100% no idea. I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever be good enough for him. And that used to really bother me. It kind of still does, but it's the point where it's just like, my life isn't for him. You know, I have to live for myself. I can't be living to make everybody happy. I have to do what makes me happy and what I want to do with life. And, you know, for Captain B, we've talked about this, that he knew I was going through something, but he didn't want to push. And I understand that. I mean, like, he you know, he is younger than me, by almost 2 years. No, yeah, by 2 years. You know, and he was dealing with his own shit. You know, he was living his life. He had his girlfriends and his friends, and, you know, maybe he saw it as me being female, you know, just mocking it up to being female. And, you know, I don't blame him. You know, he was young himself, you know, and again, just dealing with his own stuff. Like, I wasn't expecting anybody to save me. I had to save myself, because I knew, like, I saw, you know, the good side of things and the really shitty side of things. And, you know, if those people in my life didn't give enough of a shit to, like, you know, try to help me or try to understand, or just, like, you know, whatever, not push, but like, just be like, hey, I know something's up, like, I'm here when you want to talk, type of thing. That came years later, when actually I got my shit together and was like, you know, figuring out and understanding all of this. And it's tough. It is honestly tough to, like, kind of stomach that, like, nobody really gave too much of a shit about me, you know, at the point of, like, all of this turmoil that I was going through, that, you know, they just mucked it up to me being a teenager, or me being a homeowner, or whatever the fuck it was, or just me being, like, a troublemaker. You know, and I've talked to my mom about this, because now they know 98% of, they don't know all my diagnoses, but they know what I went through in high school. And, that's a story to be told. And as we get closer and closer to this project, it is linked to it. So, you know, I haven't really talked to my dad about it. He knows, again, like, 98% of, the shit I went through, and we haven't talked about it. And I'm giving him that time and space to mentally process everything and kind of go through his own feels. And maybe one day he will come and talk to me about it. I hope. That is the hope. My mom and I have talked about it, on and off. We haven't really dived too much into, like, my feels. Like, we've processed her shit together and, like, how she was feeling, and, kind of now understanding, like, yo, this was fucked up type of thing. And, she's angry at the adults. And I think, she feels a type of way about herself too. So, and I know Captain B, he's known for a few years now. He feels the type of way or whatever about it, that, he wished he did more, or if he knew at the time, whatever. And it's like, that's all grand and dandy, and I'm glad that we have come to the point where we can talk about it. Well, to a point. But, it hurts a little bit that, no one gave enough of a shit while I was going through it to, say something and do something. But, it's a process that we all have to learn and, go on this journey together. And yeah, I know the last few minutes have been a tangent of, like, kind of me going off of this topic, but it kind of all ties in together, guys. I'm still dealing with it to this day, Stockholm syndrome. When they do contact me, via text or social media or whatever, and it's just like, I still get that urge. It's just like, ooh, their attention type of thing. And then, like, I have to stop myself and be like, hey, that's not healthy. It's not that I contact them. It's just like, I don't know. It's kind of like, it's hard to explain. And I know people like, this is fucked up. I know. Oh, I know. It's kind of like, oh, like, I don't know. It's just weird feeling that. It's not that I get excited, but it's just like, oh shit, they still give a shit about me. Like, I don't know. It's very weird. I don't even know what the name of this feeling is. But I have to roll my eyes when their new girlfriends or lady friends or whatever contact me and come at me very aggressively. It kind of makes me roll my eyes and be like, yo, what the fuck, right? Like, A, I'm a human being, treat me like one. B, why the fuck are you coming and attacking me for? Like, I have nothing to fucking do with them. Like, what the fuck are they talking about me? Like, what the fuck? Like, or just, like, girlfriends that I thought I had in high school, and, some of them watch this. And, in certain things that I'm talking about, and they right away get the back up and be like, yo, why the fuck are you talking about me? That type of thing. And it's just like, okay, first of all, I'm a human being. Talk to me like one. Second of all, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about people in general or whatever. And B, if I'm really having a serious topic, I do talk to people and get their permission to come on here and talk about it. I have stated this many times before. But it just kind of makes me roll my eyes and be like, people are so immature. Like, they right away have to go on the attack, or the defense, or whatever it is. They right away have to jump down somebody's throat. They right away have to assume that it's about them. They don't even want to have a conversation, that it is easy to hide behind a screen and bully and beat down somebody and just destroy them as a human being, but then in person put on that, like, oh, or play the victim, like, oh, you did this to me, oh, that, oh, you were talking about me. Like, instead of being on the defense or at the attack or both, it's just like, why not have a conversation? It just kind of rolls my eyes, because it's just like, wow, this is like high school days type of thing. And it's just like, some things never change. And it kind of has me thinking, like, I'm in this loop almost, right? It's just, it's interesting to kind of like step outside and be like, yo, like, huh, I have a better understanding. I have a better time to process things because I have learned that, oh, okay, this is really unhealthy. And like, I don't need to get mixed up in this. Like, you don't need that type of attention, you know. It's just an interesting thing. Anyways, guys, this video is fucking long. I apologize, but I think this is a topic that people don't often talk about or share their experiences. And for me, being able to process and talk about and kind of like be like, wow, I can. It's kind of like stepping outside of yourself to look in on yourself. It's kind of weird, but it's just like, now it's like thinking back and seeing myself and how I handle the situations. Yeah, they weren't fucking great. And I did some really inappropriate things. I did some things, and it's just like, now I can understand why I did it. That what they were doing to me was wrong. Like, that feeling that I get, that attachment towards them, is not healthy. That I deserve better, type of thing. And it's an ongoing process, guys. I'm not gonna lie and be like, hey, I'm magically cured. No. I don't think I ever will be. It's just deep down trauma that is really there to kind of stay. But being able to process it and come on here and talk about it and share my experiences is, I am honored to do it. You know, if this helps somebody kind of want to step in and do their own research or talk about it, kind of being like, hey, you know, I heard this person talk about it, or whatever route it is, I am glad that I can come on here and, you know, share my experiences, you know, the bad, the good, all of it. You know, I am not a perfect person. I am continuously making mistakes as life goes on, you know, but we learn from them. If you choose to learn from them and grow from them, and, you know, even if you find yourself going down that path again, but know that you're going down that path, that's a step, you know, whatever it might be. I'm just honored to come on here, and I appreciate you guys listening and tuning in. Anyways, wow, okay, I think this is the longest video yet. I apologize, but anyways, guys, gonna end it here and gonna do my usual spiel. Never give up, always keep fighting. You're enough, and you are very much loved. Until the next video, guys, stay safe and know that you are very, very much loved. See you guys soon.